24 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path. In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on what part of the world it is that you are joining me from. In case you're meeting me for the very first time, my name is Shui Agbida. I am the Leadership Growth Enabler and a Learning and Development Specialist. I help individuals and organizations to discover clarity and become the very, very best versions of themselves through coaching and training interventions. And this is one of the many interventions it is that we use to empower as many people as possible in our vision to make our world a much better place to live in. Now, this is a series of webinars that we will be having, and this is the beginning of the webinars today. It's going to be running from today till the 12th of January. It's helping us to prepare for the year. 2024 is your best year yet, and all we're trying to do is to ensure that we are doing the right thing to help you to ensure that 2024 actually is your best year yet. And what we will be looking at is leadership lessons from a book called Who Moved My Cheese? Now, if you haven't read the book before, it's an amazing book. It's a pretty short book. You can complete the book in a couple of minutes, maybe 30 minutes or an hour. You should be able to complete the book. I would recommend that you read it. But in the course of our webinars as well, I'll give you an idea of what the book is about. Okay, so this is what it is that we'll be talking about in the next couple of days, right? And every day I will be picking up some leadership lessons that can be applied to whatever aspect of your life, be it your career, be it your business, be it your personal life. These are leadership lessons that you can apply to every aspect of your life, and I'm taking that from the book Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, so excuse me for that. All right, so I don't know where it is they're joining it from right now. I would like you to drop that in the comment wherever it is that you're joining us from. Let us know. We are presently streaming on multiple platforms. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook. So you can reach out to as many people as you know to let them know we're doing this. It's a free webinar. Let's just jump in together and learn together. I mean, I believe in collective learning. Not one person has all the wisdom, all the knowledge. We're all here to learn from each other. So that being said, this is the book it is that we're going to be talking about. Essentially, there are 4 characters in the book, but just to give you a better understanding of what the book is about, I'm going to play a short video that kind of summarizes what the whole book is about. The video is about 3 minutes thereabout, and then I'm going to come back after the video to give you more details about this. So I will see you shortly. Bye bye for now.
Because it makes us happy. The maze in the story represents where you look for your cheese, or happiness. Your cheese is always changing, and you should not get comfortable in relying on your cheese to always be how or where you left it. In doing so will help you deal with change and bring you greater success.
Okay, so I'm going to start the video again. I realized it did start from the top before, so I'm going to play the video again.
Who Moved My Cheese is about dealing with change in your work and in your life. Cheese being a metaphor for what you want in life. Everyone has their own idea what cheese means to them, and we go after it because it makes us happy. The maze in the story represents where you look for your cheese, or happiness. Your cheese is always changing, and you should not get comfortable in relying on your cheese to always be how or where you left it. In doing so will help you deal with change and bring you greater success, no matter how you define success for yourself. The 4 characters in the story represent parts of us, and it's up to you to identify which parts you are now and which you would rather be from now on. There's 2 mice who don't overthink everything and just get on with life. Sniff constantly sniffs out the change and is ready for it. Scurry goes into action immediately without needing to know all the information. Then there's 2 little people, really smart people who've done well for themselves so far. Hem, he likes to stay in a safe, familiar territory. And Haw, who's slow to adapt to change but is open-minded. Sniff and Scurry go out and seek new cheese every day. Hem and Haw comfortably rely on their past knowledge and experience and assure themselves the cheese will be right where they left it. Hem and Haw even moved their house closer to their cheese and built a social life around it. They became so comfortable they didn't even notice what was happening. Sniff and Scurry noticed the cheese was diminishing and that one day it wasn't there. But they were not surprised. They were prepared and knew what to do. The situation had changed, so they decided to change. They sniffed and scurried in search of new cheese. Hem and Haw had not been paying attention to the changes. They took it for granted and were unprepared. How could this have happened, they thought? Nobody warned them. They wanted to believe somebody moved their cheese and didn't want to believe that they had failed to notice it getting smaller and smaller every day. Hem's complicated brain and deep belief system demanded to know why this had been done to him. While Hem and Haw were busy worrying about what happened to them, Sniff and Scurry were already out finding new cheese in uncharted territory, and it didn't take long before they found new cheese and started enjoying life again. Hem and Haw remained bitter and angry about not having their old cheese, complaining how life was unfair to them. They got used to being comfortable and were now afraid to go find new cheese. They got stuck in a habit of doing the same things over and over again and wondering why things didn't get better. Eventually, Haw realized the cheese was never coming back and may have to face his fears and go find new cheese. He finally stopped blaming others and took responsibility for himself. After all, it is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. As Haw enjoyed his newfound cheese, he reflected on past mistakes and realized nothing got better until he changed. He didn't like it at the time, but the change was a blessing in disguise. Hem was too stubborn, or proud, or just simply unwilling to change. Nobody knows what became of Hem. Move with the cheese.
Okay, so welcome back. That's a short summary of what the whole book is all about, all right? So that's what I'm going to be talking about. And like I said, for the next couple of days, I will be unpacking some of the leadership lessons from there. So our main characters are those four guys, the four characters. So you have two mice and then two little people there. You have Sniff and Curry, and then you have Hen and Whore. And over the period of this series, I will try and talk a bit more about each of them. And if you need to read, if you go read the book as well, and there are certain nuggets, because there are infinite number of things it is you can talk about each of these characters, right? You can even talk about personality profiling with each of them and all of that. There are several things we can do with those. We'll try and do as much as it is that we can within the time that it is that we have. So the lesson for today, leadership lesson number 1 from this book today, adaptivity. Adaptivity. That's the first thing I'm going to be talking about today. Now, what is adaptivity? Just in case you were asking, this is the capacity to adjust and thrive to the face of changing circumstances. We are living in a time that is so unusual. You know, a couple of years ago, the United States Army came up with an acronym, the VUCA world, right? The VUCA world, which means things that are very volatile. We are in an environment that is uncertain. You're not sure of what is going to happen. You're in an environment that is complex, and you're in an environment that is ambiguous. Now, all of these 4 characteristics together make our world a very, very unstable place. You can't tell what is going to happen. But what is important is you need to be able to adapt. Take, for example, in 2020, who would have thought about it? In 2020, we had the pandemic. In 2021, just when we thought that was the worst we could see, we had the Russia-Ukraine war. In 2022, there's several other things that happened. Even 2023, a couple of months ago, October 7th, remember, the Hamas-Israeli war. There are so many things that are happening, and they are affecting things around the world. So as leaders, as individuals, it is important for you to be able to adapt. So adaptivity is the capacity to adjust and thrive in the face of changing circumstances. That is what adaptivity is all about. So, number 1, as leaders, our ability to adapt to change is paramount. You need to be able to adapt. So if you're a leader, you're leading an organization, you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader in that space as well. You're at work, even if you're at home, like I said, leadership in this case, when I talk about leadership, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about someone that has the positional leadership. Leadership is influence. If you've got influence over anybody, you need to be able to adapt. If you're a parent, you need to be able to adapt to changing situations with your children as well. So, as leaders, our ability to adapt to change is paramount. It is very important. The business world is evolving rapidly. I just talked about the VUCA world, right? And adaptability is the cornerstone for staying relevant and successful. Adaptivity is the cornerstone for staying relevant and successful. Without the ability to adapt, you become obsolete in the world it is that we are in. Look at what happened during the pandemic. A lot of people struggled to switch from the brick and mortar business environments to the virtual business environments. And even right now, after 3 years after the pandemic, a lot of things have not returned to normal. Working from home, virtual working experience is now a permanent thing in our lives, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. So you need to be able to adapt. Now, adaptability. Excuse me, that's a tongue twister. Adaptability is not just a trait, but a crucial skill for excellence, for effective leadership in today's dynamic landscape. It is a crucial skill, and what that means is the fact that it's a skill, it can be learned. The fact that it's a skill, it can be learned, and that's what we're hoping to be able to do in the course of this series, and even in this world, we're going to be having a lot of events about this. So, pardon me, I'm trying to get over a cough. All right, so now every day I'm going to take out some quotes from the book that that will, give us an idea of more of what it is that we're talking about. So the quote for today that I'm looking at, it's the more important your cheese is to you, the more you want to hold on to it. Now, let me quickly explain that. Now, the cheese in this case refers to whatever it is that you want to achieve. So look at your goals for 2024. That could be your cheese. Your cheese could be, oh, I want to own my own business in 2024. Fantastic. That's your cheese. Your cheese could be, oh, I want to own my own home in 2024. Fantastic. That's your cheese. Your cheese could be, I want to 10x my income in 2024. Fantastic. That's your cheese. Whatever it is, your cheese could be, I want to have so much freedom that I can have the chance to travel with my family on holidays whenever I please without having to stress about that. Fantastic. That is your cheese. But the more important your cheese is to you, the more that you want to hold on to it. Now, there are different aspects to that quote, right? The fact that you want to hold on to your cheese means you need to be able to adapt to it, to the circumstances around this. I mean, earlier we talked about, the maze represented in the video or in the book itself talks about the environment in which you operate in. So your maze could be the job that you work at, or the office that you work at, or the environment where it is that you're located, or your home. That's your maze, where you actually look for your cheese. So if your cheese is to 10x your business, like I said earlier, where do you operate? What environment do you operate? Where's your business located and all of that? That becomes your maze. So that's the quote for today. The more important your cheese is to you, the more that you want to hold on to it. So now let's look at an example of a business, right? A well-known business that has been able to adapt to certain circumstances around them and have made them become more relevant in the times that we are in. And an example of such businesses is Apple. Now, Apple initially was a computer company. They started off with computers, with PCs and all of that. I remember they were one of the first people to have, a flash drive, having a floppy disk in form of a flash drive. And I remember people had said to them, it is impossible. You can't have that much data in a small device like this. They've been able to adapt over time. Right now, if you talk about Apple, the first thing that you think about is the iPhone. So they've adapted and evolved over time, started off as an essentially PC company to a phone, a mobile phone, an internet space company right now. That's what they're doing. And even while they're still being a mobile phone, while in the mobile phone space, you see that they constantly adapt to situations and changes around them. Every year they come up with a new iPhone and all of that. And it's so interesting that people are queuing ahead to be able to get those new iPhones. Another example of how they've been able to adapt, if you realize the iPhone 15 has a different charging port. Now, one of the unique things about the iPhone was they had a very unique charging ports and all of that. But now they realize that in the EU, very soon they're going to be phasing out all those multiple charging ports and all of that on mobile phones. What they want is every electronic device would have the same charging ports. All laptops, all computers, all mobile phones, everything will have the same charging port. Now, in order to be pushed out of the market, because if that happens and Apple still maintains, we have our unique charging port, what's going to happen? They're going to be pushed out of the market. So why do you think they have done that? That's the reason why they now have a Type-C charger on their new mobile phones. See, that's an ability to be able to adapt to the real world. So very quickly, I'm just going to talk about how to cultivate the culture of adaptability, both for yourself. We'll looking at cultivating it for yourself and cultivating it for your organization. If you're leading an organization, if you're leading anywhere, how to cultivate in your organization. So how to cultivate that? Step number one, or the first thing, is self-assessment. Self-assessment. reflect on your personal reactions to recent changes. Reflect. I mean, one key thing you need to do is to be able to reflect. Reflection is a critical aspect for professional and personal development. You need to be able to reflect. How did you respond? How did you respond to the pandemic? How did you respond to, okay, you lost a customer in your business? How did you respond? You lost a lot of money on a business deal that you just did. How did you respond? Reflect on that. What are your reactions to those changes? Identify the strengths and the areas of improvement in handling the change. Now, this is where you can do what is called a SWOT analysis, which a lot of companies or organizations get to do that, but you can actually do a SWOT analysis for your personal self as well. Now, what is SWOT, in case you're wondering? SWOT is an acronym for 4 things. And what are the 4 things? Excuse me. So the S stands for your strengths. The W stands for your weaknesses, but I don't like to call them weaknesses. I call them growth opportunities. You don't really have any weaknesses. You're not just strong in that area yet. So, and then the O stands for the opportunities, and then the T stands for the threats. Now, the first 2, which are the strengths and your weaknesses, are internal, which means they are within your purview. You have control over those. So look at that. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And how can you improve on those growth areas? So those are the first, that's the first thing you need to do, self-assessment. Then the next thing you need to do is called organizational assessment. Now, in organizational assessment, you need to evaluate how your organization has responded to the changes recently. Have you responded to the conditions around? A lot of organizations have been impacted with changes around. Here in Ireland, a couple of weeks, maybe not up to months ago, we had floodings in some parts of Ireland here. Several businesses were affected. How did they respond to some of this? This is critical. You have a business of yours. How has a business responded to changes in the environment? This is very critical. And then identify adaptive practices and areas for enhancement. Where do you need to improve? What do you need to put into practice to ensure your business improves? And then the last thing I'll be talking about is cultivating a culture of adaptability. So if you're leading a group or leading an organization, you need to ensure, even in your home, okay, if you're a parent in your home, you need to be able to cultivate a culture of adaptability in that home. Number 1, encourage open communication about the changes. Encourage people to be able to communicate about it. There are certain environments where communication doesn't take place. Maybe one of these days we'll look at leadership styles and all of that. And so those that operate kind of autocratic leadership styles and all of that, communication isn't very fluent in those kinds of areas. There are the advantages of every type of leadership style, but it's important that you encourage open communication about the changes, and then reward adaptive behaviors within the team. Reward adaptive behaviors, like I said, this cuts across both business, both personal, and all of that. So if you're your parent in your home, your children have done something to show that level of adaptability. You've said to them, okay, this Christmas, we're not going to travel for the summer holiday. We're going to do this. And they've adapted to that. Reward it. You're in the office. Someone has been able to adapt to the changes. Like a couple of months back, we realized all the tech giants that they had asked all the people to work from home before, and they said to them, you know what, everybody needs to come back to work. Now, if that happens and they adapt to that, you need to be able to reward that. It is important. That would cultivate a culture of adaptability. Now, like I said, we're going to be running this, so this is not a long webinar. Each day we'll just talk on this for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just to touch on this. There are a number of lessons, and I think we'll be able to touch as many as 12 lessons in the course of our series. So this is the first lesson for today. Now, all of this is preparing us for a particular meeting that we're having. It's called Strategic Foresighting, right? You can't live in the day that we are right now and not be able to look ahead strategically. Now, a lot of people, a lot of leaders are what we call operational leaders. So there's a difference between operational leadership and strategic leadership. Strategic leadership is an opportunity to be able to forecast into the future and look at different scenarios, look at how it is that you can, innovate based on some of those things that are happening. We're going to be talking a lot more about strategic foresighting on the 13th of January, 2024. That's in about 2 weeks' time. So every day from now till then, we will be unpacking this, just preparing us for that webinar. Now, if you would like to be a part of that webinar, you need to register for that because it's going to be an interactive webinar. We're going to have an opportunity to discuss together. So it's going to be a closed room. It's not going to run on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and YouTube as we're doing this right now. So you need to register for that. If you go on my socials, you'll find all the links and all of that, or you can scan that QR if you can do that, or send me a DM wherever it is that you're joining this from. Send me a DM if you would like to be a part of that, and you can get access to that. But do that very quickly because it's the closed room. We have a certain number of people that we can take. Once our room is full, the room is full. So make sure you sign up as quickly as possible. Now, let me just say, registration is free. You are not paying for that. It is absolutely free. It's our way of giving back, helping you to ensure that you're ready for the year. So who are those that need to be a part of the webinar? I mean, you're a leader, you're an entrepreneur, you're a C-suite executive, and all of that. This would help you to strategically position yourself and your organization for 2024 and beyond. This is a very critical time and you need to be a part of that. Now, that's it from me today. At the end of this, I'm going to play a video just to give you more details about that the webinar. But I'll be here again same time tomorrow. Okay, join me same time tomorrow. That's 7 p.m. my time here. It depends on what part of the world it is that you're joining us from. I think in West Africa it's going to be about 8 p.m. there. In the UAE it's probably going to be about 10 p.m. or thereabout. But please join me tomorrow and we will have more conversations about this. And if there's any aspect you have questions and all of that for me, you can drop them in my DM as well. Drop them there or in the post as well, and I'll be able to address them. So remember, there's greatness on your inside and the world is waiting for you to birth and manifest your greatness. Go out there and be profitable, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
In a world that's changing faster than ever, each day brings new challenges, innovations, and global transformations. As we grapple with the exponential pace of change, the gap widens between what's happening, what's to come, and what we can do about it. But what if I told you there's a way to bridge that gap? A way for you to not just keep up but to thrive in this complex and dynamic landscape. Imagine a total mind shift, a breakthrough that not only connects the dots between future events but also taps into our collective humanity. It's a system view that doesn't just predict the future, it builds it, one innovative solution at a time. Ready to be part of something bigger? Ready to shape the future instead of just reacting to it? It starts with our free webinar on Strategic Foresighting, hosted by Shui Agbida, the Leadership Growth Enabler and Learning and Development Specialist. Join us on Saturday, January 13, 2024, at 6 p.m. Attendance is free, but registration is compulsory. Start your 2024 on the right path.